So if you saw the previous video I made, I've removed the heater from under the rear seat on the P5. Now I'm going to take out the front heater. So this is the heater box here on the P5. This is just a cover that is quite often missing from these cars. We can get it off. Okay, so that's just an insulating cover. So this is the heater matrix inside here. This is the fan motor, Smith's fan motor, pretty standard for this age of car. That's all been refurbished. So this is what I'm going to take out. The car smells slightly musty when I put the heater on, so I think there may be a slight water leak, although I haven't noticed any coolant disappearing. Anyway, so I've replaced a lot of the pipes and the hoses in the past. These aluminium pipes are known to corrode, so I'm going to replace them with stainless steel ones. This tap here is what switches off the flow of water to the rear heater matrix. These are notorious for seizing. This one was seized when I got the car, but I've since soaked it. I took it off, soaked it, and it's free now. It's a bit stiff. It's kind of odd. So this is there's no internal control other than the fan for the rear heater. It's basically always on unless you close this tap. So pipes go from here down under the car to the rear heater matrix. So what I'm going to do is, I've drained some of the water. I haven't drained all of the coolant out of the car, but so it's going to, when I take these hoses off, there's going to be some water come out. But I'm not going to bother draining the whole block. It just seems a bit pointless. This is pretty high up. Most of the water will stay in the block. There'll just be some water coming out, I think. It's above the radiator. So I think you've seen the engine previously on other videos. These are the twin carbs, obviously, the air filter, fuse box. That is a inertia cutoff switch that I fitted for the electric fuel pump. It's a fairly standard Rover part, obviously not for this age of car, but so that in the event of an accident, that will kill the fuel pump. I also wired it up via a relay to kill the coil, so the engine should shut off completely if there's an accident, because obviously if you only cut the fuel pump off, there will still be fuel in the carburetor bowls so the engine will run for a period. So that should kill the engine completely. There are additional fuses over that side that aren't standard. I fitted so that one of them is for the coil for the inertia switch. I also fitted relays for the headlamps, because when these cars were built, they didn't have relays in the headlamp circuit or the main beam. So those over there are not standard. Otherwise, pretty much it's all standard. So it's got an electric fuel pump. That's the wiper motor over there. That's the fan unit. Fuse box over here. That's the transmission fluid level, the oil filler. The probably can't see down there, but that's for the radiator down there. Brake reservoir, washer bottle. Yeah, it's fairly self-explanatory. So anyway, so I'm going to get the air filter off. I'm not going to remove the carbs, just take the air filter off, and then start undoing some of these hoses and getting on with disassembling around here. I want to remove this whole thing because it is, as I say, I think it's leaking. The heater's, when it works, it's warm, but it's never really hot. So if I'm going to replace the hoses under the car, then I and these pipes then I want to probably fit a reconditioned heater matrix. So that's just got the air filter out of the way, makes it a lot easier to see what we've got. This is the heater box here. Then we've got 2 pipes coming from the block. They each branch. So one is going, I think this is off to the front heater, and that's the controls that the dashboard operates for the front heater. And this is going off to the tap for the rear heater. Likewise, this one is the other part, the other inlet or outlet of the front heater, and going off to the rear heater. So they're basically 2 pipes, a return and a flow, and then they each branch to the front and rear heaters. The rear heater has these 2 pipes going to it. So these are the stainless steel replacements. So that's for that one. That is for that one. So they're for the one pipe, and then these are the ones that go down here. So they feed down. I'm not sure if they're clamped. I'll have to see. I think they may be. I don't know, unless it's just the hoses holding them in place. So anyway, so I'm going to get the hoses off. Yeah, start taking these hoses off, disconnect the cables, and if I can get this out, then that will be a good start. That's just a breather that goes to the back of the air filter. Get that out of the way. I may paint, depends how rusty it is, but we'll see. I might paint underneath. Anyway, so see you in a minute. So I've got most of the hoses off. You can see the hoses have gone from down here. There's the inlet and outlet to the engine block, which you may not be able to see. Just down here there's a pipe that runs under the inlet manifold and comes here and goes to the water pump, and then there's another, I assume this is the return. I'm not sure actually which way around they are, but anyway, this one goes to the water pump. It's a pipe. Again, I replaced this when I did the when I refurbished the inlet manifold and the carburetors. So this pipe runs under here, and I think the original was mild steel, just normal steel. So that's been replaced with stainless pipe that you can get from Wadhams. So we've removed all the hoses. So the matrix is there and there. This valve needs to be removed, and the cable. These are the 2 pipes that go down to the rear heater, and then they connect to a hose at the bottom. What I'm fighting with at the moment is oh, and I've removed the rear heater valve as well. What I'm fighting with at the moment, which I'll show you, is these 2 pipes are clamped to the bulkhead with a really small 5/16 nut, and I managed, it's really close to the exhaust manifold. I managed to get a socket on there with an extension, just a 1/4 inch socket, but then, and I managed to just about start moving it, but then I've just found out that it's not a captive thread, it's actually a bolt. So I'll show you this now. Okay, so let's see if so if you can, sorry, if you can just see, I think you can just about see the 2 pipes and the clamp that's holding them to the bulkhead, and that is really awkward to get to, and it's, as I say, it's a bolt from the bulkhead. So I mean, it's pretty rusty. I'm hoping it will unscrew, but what I need to do, if we come around, just get my torch. So under here, I never noticed this before. Sorry, the light's so bad. That, if you can see my finger, that is actually the bolt that's clamping that to that clamp for the pipe. So I've got to get some mole grips on the end on that and see if I can, or actually I might do it the other way around. I might try and put the mole grips on the engine bay end and unscrew this end, but it's pretty rusty, so I'm not sure whether that's going to come out. I've put some releasing fluid on, we shall see. So that has taken me a good half an hour at least, just trying to figure out and get to that bolt. So I'm going to carry on trying to unscrew. Is that it there? Yeah. So I'm going to carry on trying to get to that, and I'll bring you back again. Okay, so that didn't go well. I ended up cutting off the bolt head for the clamp for these two pipes. Used Dremel and a cutting wheel. This is the clamp. Sorry. Hopefully you can see that. It's really rusty. It's just behind the exhaust manifold. So there was no way, looking at that thread, there was no way that nut was going to come off. The bolt head was inside, so I just cut it off. So I'll probably clean up the clamp and use it, and then put a stainless steel bolt in. So that's a bit of progress anyway. It's taken much longer than I wanted it to, but so these pipes are now free. They're just connected to the hoses at the bottom, so I'm going to leave them. Next is trying to get these cables off either side from the heater controls. They look, on this side especially, quite rusted, so that's going to be fun. Hopefully, I don't know, I've put some releasing fluid on, but the ones this side seem better. Anyway, so that's going to be next, getting the removing the cables, and then I think it's just 4 bolts and this should lift out, he said, hopefully. Alright, so see you in a minute. Right, so these seem a bit easier. So these are just 7/16 bolts into the bulkhead holding the heater unit in place. I think there's just 4. So the cables actually were okay. They weren't, the clamping bolts weren't seized, so that was good. So if I can get these 4 bolts out, then we should be able to lift the heater unit out. The 7/16 bolt with a split washer, which are of questionable value. Then 2 more around this side. There you go. That's loose. So that's one of the control cables free. There's probably going to be some water come out of this when I lift it out, but I've got a tray under the car to catch what I can. There you go. That cable is free. So it should lift out. Okay, so what can I point with? Let me get me something to point with. So this is the fresh air inlet through the grill at the bottom of the screen. Might be the demist for the windscreen demist. I'm not sure. I have to figure that out. But that's definitely the air inlet up to the grill at the bottom of the windscreen. I'm assuming that's the windscreen demist. I can only feel metal channel in there. And then this is the exit. Okay. This is down beneath the footwell, and I can see the passenger footwell down that way. So air's blown down, and it gets, there's like a deflector, metal deflector there to send it either direction. It's all in pretty good condition. There's surface rust on this deflector. So this is the transmission tunnel. That deflector's, it's interesting. Oh, okay. So that deflector actually has the captive nuts that the bottom of the heater matrix bolts into. So that deflector piece, which is moulded around the transmission tunnel, that's held in by these two bolts at the bottom here. So I'd have to remove the console to get that out, I think. Yeah, I would, unless it goes out sideways. Have to see anyway inside. Anyway, so this, if you can see that, that's the deflector panel to send warm air or cool air, I guess, into each footwell. This is one of the control cables. This is the other one. They just go to the two levers on the dashboard. That's about it. I thought this might be in worse condition, but it's pretty good. I mean, the original bitumen rust proofing is still intact, so that's pretty well. Obviously I'll clean it all up. I'll try and treat some of the rust as much as I can, but yeah, otherwise that's not too bad. It doesn't look as though it's been leaking. This is just releasing fluid that I've put on the bolts. It doesn't look as though it's been leaking water onto here, onto the bulkhead, which is good. Okay, so that completes removing both heater units. Yeah, so let's take, I'm going to put you in a tripod and we'll start to take apart the, have a look inside the front heater unit. So these are the bits that we've removed. May as well do this on the floor, as good a place as any. So this is the valve for the rear heater. One of these is an inlet, I think. I can't remember how it works now, but anyway, but it shuts off the flow to the rear heater, and these are notoriously seized, so it's worth moving this every few weeks or every month or two, just to stop it seizing. This one was seized, but I freed it up after soaking. These can't be replaced, there's no replacement version, so they're tricky. These are the aluminium pipes that, I mean, on this car they don't look too bad, in fact they look pretty good, but they are notorious for corroding, so I'm going to use these replacements in stainless steel. Why not? Seeing as I've replaced all, I mean, these hoses were replaced a couple of years ago and the car's barely been driven since then. Yeah, so we've got stainless steel Jubilee clips as well. And then the actual heater matrix itself, which as with everything on this car is heavy. So can't remember which one. I think this side is for demist. So this side is demist or defrost. So I'm assuming that's diverting air towards the windscreen. This side is the temperature control, and it's quite a work of art. So you can see that's moving various flaps inside. This, I'm not sure what that is. So that's actually not connected to anything. This piece I wonder if there should be a rod. That's not connected to anything either. I wonder if there should be a rod connecting to this somewhere. Just seems very odd that you'd have that mechanism doing nothing. But that's how it was in the car. So just make sure you can see that. Yeah. So that's how it was in the car. The cable came into here, and so the cable was moving this piece. And the other cable on the other side, but there was nothing connected to this. It is sprung loaded, it seems, but so that's moving. I think there could be something missing. I mean, the heater on this car was okay. It was never really hot, and I've heard other people say the heater really does work very well. Maybe that's partly why. Maybe I'm going to have to read up on the heater, what's doing what. Anyway, let's open it up. So obviously this is going to all need refurbishing. I mean, this valve seems okay. I may not replace the valve, but there are screws. I think this splits apart front and back, so if you look on the back, I don't know what, maybe that's just a seal to stop air, so air was coming in from underneath the screen to there. It's fairly complex, but anyway, we'll figure it out. So I'm going to start removing some of these screws, and I'll bring you back when there's some progress.